to interface with directly and meet yet. My name is Geneva Shaw, and I teach in the Masters in Social Work program. I'm also, as of this academic year, the MSW program director. And, you know, probably even more importantly to kind of who I am is that I'm an enrolled member of the Hoopa Valley Tribe, and I also come from Yurok and Code peoples. I have, you know, lived in Humboldt County and surrounding areas for my entire life. This is where, you know, my family and my people are from. This is where I raised my family. And this place here where we are is very close to my heart and home. And why I say that too is that, you know, I've really been looking forward to this day, and I'm very happy that we're finally here. And a part of that for me is this is very personal. And this is an opportunity for me to kind of share a bit of, you know, who I am in, you know, an academic setting in a facilitated way. But each of the guests who we have coming here and who are here today have each individually very much and continue to impact and inspire me in my life and who I am and who I hope to be. So again, this is very personal to me, and something that I have very much been looking forward to all semester, and just am delighted that you all are here to share and participate in our time today. So I'm gonna start us off by introducing kind of some of our guests, as well as give a bit of an overview of how this day is gonna go and what we seek and hope to accomplish. So how many of you are signed up to go and planning on going to APA 1 week from today? Great. How many of you have been there before? Good. So how many of you, this will be your first time at APA Village? Excellent. Great. So what we're gonna hope to accomplish today, and this is very much the shortened version, there's gonna be a lot that happens, but what we're kind of seeking and hoping to accomplish is to give an overview and connection of the Humboldt State University's social work department, the relationship our department has with the tribal community, with APA Village, and with the work that's happened in the community. And notably, one of our participants here today, Mr. Chag Lowry, has been very instrumental in this work. And I hope we're all of the knowledge and understanding that our graduate program has an emphasis of working with Indigenous and rural communities. And that very much is, you know, the feeling and infused in our curriculum and the experience that, you know, we partner with students and community to kind of achieve in their academic journey, and something that is, you know, part of kind of why we're here today and part of what we can look forward to next week as well. I'm also hoping for us to give you all here an overview of the revitalization and restoration journey at APA Village at Blue Creek, kind of the where it's been, the where it's at, and where it's going, as well as deepening our understanding of the role of the Klamath River to its people and the connection that it has to social work practice and the helping profession here locally, as well as, you know, connections that we can make worldwide, globally. And then finally, I'm hoping that we are able to deepen our understanding of how we as social workers and the helping profession can align with our local tribal communities to support social, environmental, and economic justice, and the decolonization efforts to promote wellness and balance in individuals, families, communities, and the earth. So I'd like to start us off today by introducing the two gentlemen sitting to my right. First, we have Willard Carlson Jr., who is a Yurok tribal member and keeper of the APA traditional Yurok village site, and the leader in the village mission, which is to provide economic self-sufficiency, sustainability and livelihoods, energy self-sufficiency and sustainability, cultural preservation and renewal, community building, ecological stewardship, individual renewal and healing, and creating and nurturing livelihood opportunities. To the further right, I'd like to introduce Cheg Lowry, who is a Yurok, Maidu, and Pit River person, and is the Native Cultures Fund Program Manager in the Community Strategies Division at Humboldt Area Foundation. Established in the year 2000, the mission of the Native Cultures Fund, which is a program of the Humboldt Area Foundation, is to support the renaissance of California Native American arts, culture, sacred sites, and cultural transmission between generations. According to the Native Cultures Fund website, it has awarded over $800,000 to California Native American artists and cultural stewards in support of over 190 community projects throughout the state of California. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Willard Carlson and Cheg Lowry.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Really fast, how many of you are taking one of Rebecca Lowry's classes? Okay. I'll tell her that I'm here. That's my wife. You get an A for the day. So it's an honor to be here with Willard, and thank you to Geneva and Ronnie and the social work department, which is very dear to me personally, and from a cultural and social perspective, I really admire folks who go into the field. So if you're going into that, thank you for doing that. It is precious work. It's the good work that needs to happen in a community. So a little bit about myself. I'm a second generation HSU alumni. And on my mother's side, I'm Yurok. Our primary villages are Watek and Pequon, which is further upriver from Paw. On my father's side, I was born and raised over in Susanville. The Maidu and Pit River people. The Maidu people are ancestral to that area. The Pit River ancestry comes from up in Modoc County. And the privilege of being able to partner with Willard and this department, this is a great, I love every year we go out. I think this is what's the fourth year. So it's been a really great opportunity to keep learning and keep developing this experience. So I learn from this just as much as anyone, from being with Willard, listening to him. In terms of learning, I did want to impart that I know as students, you're geared. It's a fast-paced life right now. It's you're often asked to take notes and to keep track of what people say, and that's very understandable. What I'd like us to remember as we think about going out to Appa is that we're going to a different cultural place. And along with that place, there's different timing. And timing is, you might get out there and we will have presentations and knowledge that will be shared, but we also want you to have time to just be out there. And I know that sometimes that can be jarring when you're in the middle of life. American life is just fast. It's always so. When you're out there, and if there are times when you're just looking at the river or talking with your classmates, that's good too. Okay, that's what we want as well. Okay, we're not going to fill up the entire day with someone speaking. Okay, so and let us know how that is for you. Okay, that's helpful feedback. Let's talk with your instructors. So a little bit the history of the program that I work with is dedicated It's almost a statewide program. I work with talented people like Willard in different communities to enhance or to revitalize indigenous knowledge. And whether that knowledge is embedded in the traditional arts, in the native language, or the rebuilding or the taking care of sacred sites. That's what the program tries to partner with, tries to help develop. And the Awpaw Village is very unique and special. It's the only village project that I've been a part of in almost the entire state. So what Willard and his family and community members who are helping him to develop at Awpaw is very unique. And we actually, there aren't a lot of people that actually have the opportunity to go out there. So it's very special. Every time I go out, it's an honor. It's a privilege for me to be there. It is, in my opinion, one of the most precious places that you can go that your people and culture and the community will share. And there are many reasons why it's precious, culturally and socially, but especially from a historical standpoint, we don't have any Yurok villages on the Klamath River because of the genocide and the gold rush, the mining that occurred not too long ago. So this is, as Willard's developing, and he'll share it better than I can, but he's bringing back something that we used to have villages up and down, the full-fledged redwood plank villages up and down the river system. And now we do not. But now Willard's bringing something back. The community members that are working with him are bringing something back. And you have community members like Frankie and Molly who will share and talk about the village and then also the river system and how the river systems define us as Indigenous people and what we can share about that system that we are descended from. And how does that relate to the mission of your work, what you are endeavoring to learn about in your classes? I'm very interested in hearing back from you. All of your instructors have my email. If you ever want to email me, I would appreciate that, your feedback or your thoughts on the concept of the social work as a field, not just servicing a group of people, but incorporating the best practices of a culture and a community into the curriculum and the day-to-day activities that each of you as individuals facilitate. I was able to sit in on some of the community conversations when this department, when it was just at the discussion level about creating the MSW program. And I always remember the first director said that. It's not about just servicing people. It's about taking the best practices, their strengths, their knowledge, and honoring it and incorporating it as best we can into the field. And to me, there's no better place or opportunity to think about that, to feel it, to experience it, than to go out to Awpaw Village. That's the place. So I appreciate you that you're coming out, those of you who are coming, and you're also going to get one of the best lunches you'll have ever eaten in your life. The salmon off the traditional stick cooking. This guy's an expert. All right. So thank you again, and here's Willard.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, we covered quite a few things, or whatever. It's been a real honor to work with Jay, Social Department, all the people that's been involved since the Blue Creek Off-Building project started. You know, it's been ongoing for a while. Yeah, actually started. Amazing how fast the years went by. He said it's going to be the fourth trip that the HSU social work is going to come off. And wow, time just flying by. I don't think it's just America that's really zipping by, but you know, it seems like when you notice that the kids and stuff too, they're starting to notice a change for the season. So, kind of to me, it's somewhat a little bit of concern, you know. But 12 years ago, I was in a rehab program in San Francisco. Was my second one. I had a lot of problems with, you know, being my own worst enemy. You know, having a lot of alcohol problems and dysfunction from, you know, I guess it doesn't discriminate against anyone. So anyway, I was at a lowest point in life, and so when I ended up in San Francisco after an extended time in Humboldt Hilton over here. Anyway, but it was some of my family and a couple friends who did not give up on me when I was at my lowest point in my life. And I was just like, you know, everything was crumbling. So I needed change. So my son Fergie, he came down to San Francisco to get me out of the rehab. Him and his wife Victoria, my granddaughter, and my youngest son Mike. So we talked about what we're going to do all the way back. We just talked all the way back to Klamath, and new beginnings, repair the estrangement I had in my family, and you know, and the conflicts I had with my eldest son. It was a real mess. But I felt very good about life, and I already knew that I needed change. So I wanted to do something to give back to our community, our people. But I wandered around for ages, you know, trying to decide what I was going to do with life. I mean, I was a student here probably back when Teddy Roosevelt was president, you know, so. But, you know, I had a lot of good times here at this university, so it's always an honor to come back, you know, talk to new students and new people and see them change. But we started out as we're going to do something with Blue Creek. Now, Blue Creek is one of our most sacred sites on the river, but it's also a place for a lot of the salmon that return, and the creek's really pretty blue all year round. And it's the main tributary that goes up in the high country where a lot of our people train to be doctors and things like that, you know, because we had healing doctors, but, you know, Western medicine, I mean, we had our own doctors before, you know, creek contact, and there are still some that are practicing. So, it started out as a Blue Creek guide service, and you know, so you start thinking, because my son he has a guide service, but I didn't have a driver's license, and I had to work hard to get that back, so I couldn't pull a drift boat around or whatever. So I was still kind of searching, and then early beginnings, we mentioned, I put my early notes, like, you know, making a plank house, and you know, it's been quite a long time since I did work on a plank house. That's usually a traditional living house. The coastal Yurok and the inland Karuk had them, and Hupa had them. And so that was my dream. So then somebody else said, well, you make a place for a ceremony. Okay. So that's how everything got born, or it was all in the spirit world and not in the physical phase. So I had a lot of repair work to do to myself, get my license back, being on probation, a lot of DUI classes and relying on buses and local transportation. And I got in contact with David Tripp, my best part at Vogue Rehab in Hupa, so we started working things over. He's also like my kind of like spiritual mentor. He always kept me in check when I was always wanting to go ahead and, you know, I guess it's been like a rebel, I guess, you know. And while I went to Wounded Knee, South Dakota back in '73, we left Humboldt State here for a siege at Wounded Knee that lasted 71 days. There were people like my partners, whatever, that stayed. And so I was always kind of like a mercenary, I guess you might say. And we went on into the fish wars and Appa and closing the Klamath River off in '76 and so on. So those days there, so you want to find something else to do. And so the guide service was primarily my son Precious, who owns right now. And he's very successful. And then, so I started on the village. So I was able to have some land, that's family land. We were lucky to retain some land from, you know, first contact and everything that happens to all I would say all of the destruction and colonization have been in villages up and down the river. There was a lot of things that happened back then. A lot of people got sent off to boarding schools. Some people got sent to Hupa, to boarding school, others to Nevada and California, and some of the men, whatever, during mining days, it was very hard. They had bounties on Indian males in California for $25 a head. So it was very hard to assimilate into Western culture. So there was a war that was fought, like a guerrilla war down Blue Creek, where people went ahead and hid out in the mountains, and they fought for 10 years. I had heard that down through the legends. And so in other places throughout, up in the high countries. So there was a lot of things. So I wanted to go ahead and do something different by building a village, but to work on repairing damages my past, breaking down these racial barriers, sometimes, you know, animosities even between my own family. A lot of my own family, we had some turbulent times, even during construction of the village, and fallouts. You know, and I still kind of wander around whatever kind of figure out, well, how's this going to happen? But then I got in contact with Humboldt River Foundation and CHAG, and I have quite a few others, some students from the university here, and somehow we just all pulled together. So we seem to iron these things out. Sometimes you need to take a little break and you walk away. You get a little burnout. And trying to go ahead and get rid of some of these old, age-old animosities. Believe me, I had resentments, you know, and I tried working those 12-step programs to AA and stuff, and yeah, some of it did fly. And so it was really hard. I had to do a lot of changes. So the thing is, if I can change and do something different, that's why I encourage other people to see our Native people and whoever, because I help people. I don't preach to them, but we do things. We work on wellness. So like this is, I know I'm bouncing back and forth with her, but this is how this village came about. Was a lot of trial and errors, and like of mine, because I was my own worst enemy. I had to find some peace, and so this has brought me some peace and balance. And it's been 12 years now that I went ahead and quit Reagan. When I went to court and before I went to the Friendship House, I drank my last beer 2 blocks from the courthouse because, I didn't have a driver's license. I parked my truck there. Well, my sobriety began. Judge said, Mr. Carlson, you are a danger to the community. The handcuffs went on. Oh, wow, okay. But here we are today. So, the Blue Creek Aqua Village work with the CHAG in the community has been really good because a lot of different other peoples have contacted me. What can they do to go ahead and get their culture identity back? Just 2 weeks ago, I went down to Drayton Rancheria and we addressed some kids, my friend Thomas, make some films, Thomas stuff. When we did a presentation on Blue Creek and the fish and the Alpha Village project, but they were like, middle school. Then we went on over to Point Reyes, and after we had to get okay from the parks to go ahead and cook some salmon, they had unlocked the gates and stuff like that. So, and it went over very well. So we reached out to other people, so they want to know how they can get back to, their culture. Other places over towards Susanville, and people started doing projects there. So, and some people, they ask me, they said, well, what can you do? Or what can I do to say to get my grandma's land back where it's all overgrown with brush and they have, family members buried there. I said, well, you need to at least go cut the brush and make a little camp, a little something. My friend George Wilson, he's the canoe carver from Potter's Lot. He's so humble and he's such a great man, a privilege to work with. So he helps me because he said, even if you do the little thing, the little accomplishments will get you to another step. So yes, sometimes you gotta take the small steps to get somewhere. But man, when you're out of rehab, like me, and I was like supercharged, you're making great strides. And then after a while, though, you gotta, it kind of slows down. But there's always something that really happens positive. Especially if you follow your path and you set out, you want to try to lead by example. And I don't really claim to be a great leader by example, whatever, but I see where I'm honest and I got my integrity and I have, like a couple of people will say, well, why didn't you want to go ahead and have this group come up with it? Or, and I'll say, well, look, you have to go ahead and have a communication and if this building's built better in healthier communities. And that's what we want to do. And I try to go ahead and balance myself in both worlds and things like that. I'm still having, like they come out these new phones and stuff, It took me years to master the rotary phone. Then they came out with the box and the radio phone and all that. Yeah, now I got this 6 and my 5 broke down and Point Reyes. So I gotta go to Verizon just to get my email and stuff like that, So I'm kind of low tech anyway. I live in the 21st century, so I just I'm very grateful for where I'm at in my life. It took a long time to bounce around, figure out what the hell you're gonna do. Started out be a farmer, and then you're self-employed, and you work in fisheries, and work fish wildlife, and logger, and construction worker, so it's difficult. So some of you people, whatever, I hope you ever run the difficulties I ran into it and start over at 51 years old. I mean, my 51st birthday, I woke up in the Humboldt Hilton over there. I see it. But that was reality. And the craziest thing about it is that was on a Sunday night. I was just in court on the previous Friday and my certificate completion of the first rehab place I did in San Diego. That's how much of an idiot I was. I was grateful that I didn't have that same judge, you know. That's where I'm at today. I'm here talking to you people. I really think that when you come up, we'll have a real good dinner. You guys get to, I can talk about some things, interests that you have, and like, you know, we won't be just firing questions literally all day. And it's time for you guys to go ahead and have a good break, you know. School going in session for about, what, a month and a half? But, you know, no, it's great. It's a good learning opportunity. I want to thank everybody. If there's any questions, fire away. Yeah.
How did you pick the site for the village?
Well, we have this family land on this side of the river, which is, you know, like vehicle accessible. The other side of the river where my mother lives, we have family land over here too, but you gotta go there by boat on the Blue Creek side. So when we started picking this site back in 1988, we had a lot of old growth redwood, which I had no say over, but my family, my elders wanted to log it. So what they did was they cut down like 49 acres of old growth redwood trees. And so it made this flat that was all overgrown with a lot of brush, willow and alder trees. And this is where we found the site. And I knew that it wasn't where the original village used to be, say 150 years ago, because the Bureau had the archaeologists, they came on in and did a surface survey looking for artifacts, and they did some minor excavations. Because some people were concerned, if I was going to build that village here, what about the artifacts that was supposed to be remain there? But the old village was up the river a ways on the flat, which the river took through erosion and the river coming and cutting this way. So with my family and them wanting to, all they could see was dollar signs, and that gave me a place to live where my home is right now and where the village is. So I have to think that back then, I know when they logged it, I was sad. But, you know, they wouldn't listen to me. I was like nobody. I was just the son and the nephew. But that's how it turned out, so it's a beautiful place. We still got a few river trees. Nothing like the big, you know, 10, 12 footers through, you know. Yes.
So I know that you were, or Chang was asking for feedback from students to just kind of find out what your experience is like going out to APA. I'm just wondering if you've gotten feedback from other students who have come out from the social work department yet in the past, just about what this meant for them and the work that they're doing or the life in general.
Yeah, we've always got some positive feedback, and the thing is, I'm real terrible on names, you know. And yeah, people come and talk, hey, remember I came out? Yeah, okay, what's your thing? But they all had a real good time, most of them. Whatever, we had one little accident last year. A lady slipped on the rope swing, so I caution anybody if they want to go try the rope swing. We exercise extreme caution, please. Because that was real hard. I felt very bad for that young lady. You know, and usually everything's been pretty positive, you know. We just have a good time. And Shag, you get any good feedback?
Yeah, I run into students all the time in the community, and I remember every one of your names. No, you know, part of it is this type of experience. You know, my hope is that, you know, it'll settle in over time. And I know in your classes and in your internships and in your jobs, if you're going to work with Native people, Native families, there's a fair amount of heaviness. You know, there are a lot of issues that we are working on and that where we need partners to help work on. And so we also wanted you to have an experience, a strength-based, positive experience. You know, that yes, I mean, Willard's the living example of what, you know, not just an individual can do, but, you know, it's him, it's his family, it's the community, it's the Yurok people, it's the Kadu people, the Hupa people, Talawa people. All the people that go out there add to that place in whatever way. And we hope that you take that place with you in whatever way. And I am personally fine with not having to assess that. We're trying to evaluate that. So I appreciate, you know, when I do meet with folks who've gone out there, and it's always, you know, neat. Oh yeah, it was so great, the food was great, you know, we had this great conversation. You know, that's, it makes me hopeful, right? And that's what we need, is hope for this work. That's what I feel. You know, I'd say, you know, my wife went through this program. My younger sister also went through the program. Like, so I had 4 years in a row of listening about the program. Yeah, but it's always, in the end, you gotta have the hope. And that's what I think AWPA represents. What Willard is doing, that's what it represents to me. So, and the fact that, you know, I've been able to interact with students in the past couple of years, and it's always positive, well, that's the hope for me, and that's what I appreciate. Are there any other questions?
What kind of traditional activities take place at the village?
Well, a few years ago, we had some young students come out, and part of their curriculum was to come out and learn how to do some construction with working with wood. And we talked about respect, and we do things like, you know, like there's a new building, everything, wood construction, there's preparing fish for a smokehouse, learning to go ahead and put it in. Last year we had a group from Table Bluff come on in for cultural immersion. We talked about climate change, and then we went ahead and put on a fish camp. We ate traditional foods like elk meat stew, fry bread, cooked salmon on sticks, and marshmallows roasted on sticks. And then they also got to go ahead and got to take eco tours and a couple of boats. We had a boat there that was taken down to Blue Creek to go down and swim and come back. And then the last day, we went ahead and took the fish out of the smokehouse and we pressured cannons so they could take the product home to their families. So then we, in July, 1st of July, we did another camp like that. And we may do another one here in October. So we try, you know, we also had the Yurok language camp here last summer. We have certain groups, you know, interested groups that come in. So we try to do quite a few things like that. It's not like a set schedule, but there's also something like that going on. Like my son, who owns the Blue Creek Guide Service, there's this group. It's called the Western Rivers Conservancy that are raising monies and making a film to buy a lot of the land at Blue Creek. It's the land acquisition from Green Diamond Timber Companies, who own most of the reservation. And we are like working with them, and they are raising money to get this land back that's been logged, stolen in the first place, and then poisoned with 2,4-D. But if that's the only way we can get our land back is to buy it back, so be it. Right now, this morning, my son had Western Rivers up there, and they were doing some filming from my place for Blue Creek. So he's been taking them around for the last 5 days, and for the last 4 years, they've always go ahead and he shows them the rivers. So that's what he's doing right And those are just some of the activities that we do. And a lot of it we want to do is our rivers need help. So we had the Klamath River connection from HSU last week. And so if they're doing things with the river, they might as well get to know the people, you know. And then I'm also involved in a upcoming Fish Wars documentary, working with certain people at the tribe. And that's gonna kick off very soon. It's gonna talk about the salmon wars. So we hope to have a 15-minute documentary on that. So that's kind of finally getting off the ground. I've been wanting to do it for about the last 25 years. That's finally coming in. Yeah. Coming inside, I guess, but see, believe it, I always said, but it's happening. So we had a very good positive meeting with some of the other people in the tribe. And so October 10th, we're gonna have a dinner in Klamath for all Fish War veterans and or descendants who have any materials to bring. And we hope to go ahead and get what happened with the Fish Wars into the curriculum at the local schools and at the university. That's part of my goals.
Can I just say something too, just in hearing, you address Natalie's question is, really what I'm hearing and just what I've, experienced and learned to be very true is that, Willard, who I see too is very humble, and the incredible kind of gift through his work that he shares in a very accessible way to people from all walks of life, and not just, traditional people, tribal people, but even tribal people on all spectrums of like acculturation. There's a place there for people who are very traditional. There's a place there for people who have never really had access to culture and traditional life ways. It's also very accessible to, really the entire world as a place to experientially learn about issues that not only impact our local tribal peoples, but that really are impacting and affecting, the world. And, you hear folks from all over, and last year when we were there was a film crew from Germany, who were doing some documenting, but it's an experiential learning place for all people that, again, Willard has been so gracious in opening up and making accessible. And I don't mean just physically accessible, I mean, spiritually, emotionally, mentally accessible, for all of us and many, many others beyond, just us. So, I have a lot of gratitude for him in that. And then one of the questions I had, and you mentioned a few, but what are some of your ongoing future goals for your work as well? Some of the things that you're continuing to work towards?
Well, there's so many things. One thing is, I think this ongoing thing with the salmon and fish wars is still there. It has evolved and it's going to be, over water. So the future of the village and what we started is to go ahead and protect this resource, but also protect our land from any and or legislation that's going to call for construction of new dams if the other ones are removed. We as a people along the rivers, we have to retain our homeland. We cannot go ahead and allow termination. If we weren't there, something happened to my family, because when my uncle passed in 2005, the lineal descendants, whatever, I was next in line, I guess, handed down to, and he gave me a real strong message, was to take care of our land, take care of Blue Creek, and he said he would be on me if I did it. So that was a real good message. Because water and fish are so vital to our existence. It brings people together of all cultures and all occasions. Happiness, sadness, ceremonies, dance. Bring people together. It's, Blue Creek Opa Village is a place for people and come in and within reason, and we can communicate. We can keep a lot of the tribal politics out. But when it has dealing with social and economic issues and the welfare of our river and the people who we are, that's when we can sit down and talk. Maybe I welcome people, that come talk about, say, dam removals. We're not a political entity, but it's just, to me, that's my life's work. So the ones that we're setting an example for is tomorrow's leaders. So that they can go ahead and have something to build on. We gotta retain who you are forever. Never forget where you come from. And I see up and down the river, I see as the educational, as my friend Thomas says, it's like a traditional college of knowledge. And I think, building better and healthier communities, we're all facing the same issues. They talk about climate change. Well, we have to adapt. We're facing illnesses, cancer and diabetes. I mean, like cancer seems as common as diabetes anymore. What's happening with the food that we eat, air we breathe, our water? So, it's just so many issues and challenges. So that's what I hope to do. And I would like to see, I just see so many things that are wrong. What can we do to make things right? So if we can chip away and we can help somewhat, then we're doing our job. But if I was, let's say if I was a really self-centered person and said, well, oh heck yeah, I'm clean and sober or whatever, but man, I'm not having no fun in life, I hear that a lot with a lot of clean and sober people. They say they're bored because they can't go have fun what they used to do. Go drink, go listen to music, I don't know how many men that I knew, they had a few beers and they thought they could dance better than John Travolta. I mean, what the heck, I mean, I have fun doing things like this. Hey, the next time I go to a big old Rolling Stones concert, if I ever make another one, at least I'll remember half the concert, more than half. I mean, I love music. It still sounds great to me. I can still probably cut a little ride once in a while. But life's gotta be fun too. You gotta be serious about, taking care of things. I'm very serious about everything I do, but I can go ahead and joke and kid around and everything. And life is good.
I think on your question, Geneva, where I come from, appreciating what Willard's talking about, but as Yurok people and culture and the indigenous people in this region is, at this point, we need partners too, for the community health, for the individual health, for the health of our children and our families. And so it's important that, community members like Frankie and Molly and Willard share about who we are. One thing that I want to impart is when we talk about historical trauma in your classes, what happened to Native people in California which was so recent, but the people who were targeted first for the genocide, for the bounties, were our traditional dancers, singers, our speakers, our regalia makers, our historians, our doctors. So in terms of looking, if I would just step outside of myself and look at what the Yurok people are doing or what Native people are doing in this region in terms of building the capacity to recover from what happened, it takes a fair amount of courage for community members who are Native to share, to get out there and say, this is what I'm trying to do, this is what we've encountered, because we're still dealing with that trauma. That boarding school system, and you probably have had instructors talk about this, but we've had generations of Native kids who were not allowed to be kids. Their childhood was taken from them. And then their ability to learn how to be parents was denied. Because when they were in those places, they had no mentors. They were not around the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, parents. And so that's what we're faced with today, is that legacy, that recent legacy. And in social work practice, you're working with an individual, but really they're not an individual, right? They're the sum of a culture and a community and families. And the importance of place as it relates to Native people is something that is very unique and key. All cultures, all people, we've all suffered, right? If you go back far enough, what's unique about Native people and our suffering in this area, we didn't go anywhere. We're still on our homelands. We're still in those places where the pain happened. And that is something, if you go out and work in Native communities, to be aware of. That as Native people in this area, we can see places and we have these stories and these histories of those places have a lot of pain attached to them. And they're right there, right where our villages were. So that's why this Awpaw village is such a beautiful place and experience and project. And I know Willard's very open, bringing out, he's very humble because he brought out all types of community groups. And we have language immersion camps out there. It's an open place for healing. I just wanted to share that because he's very humble about who he's brought out, but I mean, it's been an amazing experience to see in the past couple of years how that's impacted our community. And after you go out there and after you go through your program, again, I appreciate your feedback. The program that I work with is supposed to help projects like this. So the more feedback that I get from folks about what it means, the better I can do my job. My job is to go to foundations and try and convey stories and raise money and get it back to the Native people. And so I rely on the feedback that I get that can help convey that story. Are there any other questions?
So as we move into, our journey next week, I really encourage you all to ask yourselves, what is the significance of getting off campus and out of the classroom and out of your books and into the community to experience, the people with whom you're seeking to help? How does, that type of experience help inform and shape and influence your work with people, with families, with communities, and kind of what is your role in that? And like was indicated initially, just really let yourself be and absorb and continue to reflect on this experience and let it continue to shape and influence as you move through your educational and professional journeys. And then, again, just a couple like logistical reminders. Bring some food in to share. Bring, your own like plates and utensils if you can to also take with you. We really want to be mindful about, not leaving waste behind. And that's part of kind of the, coordinated effort to carpool in the vans. It is a very like rural and remote road and drive and entrance in there. So it's not really suited to having a lot of vehicles parked in there. So just, really come with an open heart and an open mind and bring good energy to that place, because the place will reciprocate and bring, good energy and good thoughts and feelings back to you. And, I'm trying to think of any other kind of logistical pieces to just prepare you to be there. But I think, if anybody else has any thoughts about that, otherwise, we're looking forward to it.
Thank you for sharing about your addiction and your struggle and stuff. I was wondering, do you have, I don't know, like, event, I don't know if you call it an event or anything out there that has to do with addiction? I work for I'm still an intern for the county for the last couple of years in the AOD field. I have my certificate, and I've worked with a lot of UROC and crew people in my groups and stuff, and 9 times out of 10, getting back in touch with their culture is like the first thing that comes out of their mouths, and that disconnect is like helps to perpetuate their addiction. I was wondering if you have anything out there that you do that's kind of around addiction, or you've ever thought about doing something because you seem passionate about it.
Well, yeah, part of it a few years back was to go ahead and work with the UROC tribal courts with addictions like reentry when people left rehabs and things like that. And I was supposed to do some consulting with Red Deer Consulting and addressing some of these issues. Well, something happened where that didn't happen. But that's what part of Village is for people to come up there and, we want to show them there is a different thing to do. We can talk about things, and share some of their skills, because I have personally driven some people to rehab, San Francisco, a few times. And sometimes people will call me up, and one lady called me up, they were having problems, with suicide in their family. And I wasn't able to help because it already happened, but it then never happened because she already had like 3 of her children, suicides. And it's really bad because people call me anytime. I have to, I'll drive down to Eureka, talk to them. So, I try to do interventions. I would like to host a group. There's been several other people that we did presentation to, like the social services and the foster care programs in Humboldt County. We did things like that, and certain people have asked about, is there anything available for a field trip? Yes, there is. We can work on that. It'd be an ideal place. And I'm always open for anything out there, especially helping people. That's my job, my lifelong job. So that'd be a good time to talk about it. And, you know, I really think, you know, like, you know, when we talk about our tribe and stuff, you know, when there is a crisis, we're like an 8:30 to 5 o'clock tribe. There's nobody to call for a hotline and an attempted suicide or something, a tragedy happens. You need to contact a social service worker or somebody. Yeah, wait till Christmas holidays, there's nothing there. And that's sad. I know that dealing with my own grandson. Night after Christmas at my house, my grandson's having a lot of problems. He was talking about suicide, and I had talked him down, and he just cried hard. I talked about it next day. I couldn't call anybody to try it. I couldn't call the social service worker that's supposed to be helping us. So who do you call? So you got to call upon yourself. I mean, you know, I live in Appa, and I know people, we have problems all up and down the river. And we need to help our people. We have suicides in Westbeck and Brown River. You know, it happens. You need to have a friend. You need to have somebody available. So certain people can count on me because I'm available. And I talk to people like that, whatever, but you know, I don't know. Sometimes you often wonder what can be done. So you need to call a suicide prevention or whatever, you know. I called Delaware County, talked to somebody in Humboldt County. Well, where are you? Oh, I'm up here. Where's that? So the communication is so down. It's okay if you live in town, but when you live up the river somewhere, and say Watak or Pequon, that's down below Westbeck, goes down, and you know, the road ends down a place called Watak, which is about 7 river miles from me. So I live where, well, there's one road in, and that's a logging road. So my phone does work a little bit there, and sometimes it doesn't, but most times it does.
Thank you for your question. So, you know, and our time is almost up here, but I think the way that I look at it in terms of we as Native people, what we need to own ourselves and develop ourselves to combat, you know, that disconnect that some Native people have with culture and family and connection and place. We need the systemic change, and that's a long road, right? But my hope is that you folks sitting here are going to build that road. You're going to help us. You're going to partner with us, and we'll learn from each other and do that. That's why this MSW program exists, because we had Native people with all of our issues and all of the trauma, and then we had folks from the university that sat down 10, 12, 15 years ago. So that's, to me, what you represent, each of you represent. Whether you go into the field or not, you're still going to impact, you know, our health, because you're in this program. You know, you're learning about us. So I wanted to end with that, though, that you know, that's what this place represents, is our own capacity, our own, you know, that's why I appreciate Willard. You got to own it. We have to own it first and foremost. And then we have to have partners. I don't want to take time from our other presenters, I know. So
There's the door.
So will you all please join me in thanking Chegg and Willard, as well as kind of, we'll see you again soon. we kind of take a little break, we're gonna do just a mini transition into our kind of our next piece of our orientation and kind of prepping us for next week, which is why I asked Mr. James Jensa to join us here today. So you heard that this will be like the 4th kind of trip out to APA for, our programs here at Humboldt. And one new addition that I'm very excited to be able to integrate into our trip this year that's never been done before because it didn't exist, is we're going to venture all the way to Klamath and make a pit stop at the brand new Yurok Tribe Visitor Center and Interpretive Village. We're gonna start our time there, be hosted by Mr. Jensa, and then we're gonna head back to APA and spend the rest of our time there. So I'd like to introduce James, and he can tell you a little bit about, the visitor center and ultimately just, because it's going to be, we're going to get there and we're going to kind of jump right into it. I thought maybe he would kind of give us a bit of an overview of what that'll look and feel like today, so that when we do get there, we're ready just to kind of be a part of that experience and kind of get down with it. So thank you, James, for being with us here today.
People. Are queen nek now James Jensa rekway as he started when the man nek came to tall of yon talk at the So my name is James Jensa. I come from the village of Rekway Star, and I'm also part tall. I come from the village of Yon Talkit. So I'm the Yurok Country Visitor Center. I'm the cultural coordinator at the new visitor center. So I do many things there, So before I kind of get into kind of what the visitor center, what are some of our goals and our objectives and our vision for that place is, I'm gonna start off with a story, and that will kind of lead into it a little bit more. So I don't know if I'm a good storyteller, but I'll go ahead and try here. So na shikon could shake any chuchi skitch tomorrow Kelly one na. So a long time ago, there was this little bird, and he broke his wing, and muskie quake out in a tom or newly per and he couldn't go visit his family. His family always left for the wintertime and went down south. So he was really sad. Numi came son named Nepa Kuawaku Chuchis, Esio, taping off a hego. So he was really sad, and he started walking through the woods. And as he started going into the woods, he came across this beautiful dogwood tree, and it was his first time ever producing these beautiful white flowers. So all these beautiful white flowers everywhere. And so the little bird goes up to him and says, "Are you queen Bunama? Keeps tomorrow Kelly now one na?" He said, "Hello, I broke my wing. How are you doing, dogwood?" He said, "Kosela sanki all in it can wait spring. So hopefully I can stay in your branches for the winter time." And then the dogwood tree looked at him, looked at him, he said, "New sawdust, china, kimberlu wham." He said, "Chatni no walk back, man, neck off, no me no around." He says, "Go on, get out of here, you're bothering me." He says, "Look at you, you're so ugly." He said, "Look at me." He said, "I have all these beautiful white flowers everywhere." And so I don't want you staying in my branches, you'll make me look ugly. And so the bird, he was really sad, and he started walking in the forest. As he started walking deeper into the woods, he came across the giant tan oak tree. And it was her first time ever producing acorns, because this is before humans were even made yet. And so she was the first time producing acorns, so she's producing all of these acorns, and they're falling down, and she's gathering them up into piles. And she was really busy, and here comes that little bird. He says, "Are you queen, how my na keeps tomorrow Kelly?" And she said, New sawdust, Chicona search or Petweka, Musky Narguri Kerchen." And he said, "I broke my wing." And she said, "Wait, go on, get out of here. I'm so busy. Can't you see I'm so busy? I have no time to help you." So by this time, the bird was really sad, and he started crying. Tears started rolling down his face. He started walking with his head down. He started walking deeper into the woods. And the deeper he walked into the woods, the darker it became. The deeper he walked into the woods, the darker it became. And pretty soon he went, bam! And he ran into what he thought was a giant wall. And by the time his eyes started focusing from all the tears blurring his eyes and getting used to the darkness, he realized he didn't run into a giant wall. He actually ran into the giant redwood tree. And this bird, he's little lily, about this big. And he starts looking at this giant redwood tree and he starts shaking. And he's like, I am Kliki, teach them all, Kelly, when when Jawak, Soxy, please have pity on me. Cosella Sanki, all in a Kaway Squid, Oshkumi Musky, Numi per work here, Solid, Ki, Quaga, Natom, Numi per work. He said, because I can't go see my family. I'm so sad and I can't fly. He said, can I stay in your branches? Cosella Sanki, all in a Kaway Squid. And the redwood tree says, he's a Pete Wagner rat. And he said, of course, my little friend. He picks him up, he throws him into his branches. And that little bird was the marble murrelet. And that's the only seabird that nests in redwood trees. And that's the way we believe, that's the reason why, because of the story. So meanwhile, all this was going on, the creator was watching us. So he comes down, he goes over to where the dogwood tree was sitting there with all his beautiful white flowers. He came down and he says, I need no watch. He said, I was watching you. Got my spaghetti off. And he says, you weren't being a very good person. And, I was watching the way you treated your fellow neighbor. And he says, for that, he said, I'm going to punish you. And I'm going to punish you by not taking away your beautiful white flowers. You can have your beautiful white flowers, but you're only going to have them for a short period of the year. And so that's why people believe that the dogwood tree only has this beautiful white flowers for about 2 months out of the year. In the late spring, and then they lose them. And so then he came over to Haunt Minot where she was down in the down oak tree. And he says, I was watching you, honey, no watching. And I was watching you, were so busy you couldn't help out your fellow neighbor that really needed your help. And he says, for that, he says, I want to make you busy for the rest of your life. When I create the Yurok people, the local Indian people, they're only going to eat your acorns. And so that's why it's Yurok people eat acorns, because that's part of her responsibility. We have other acorns that we can eat, the white oak, black oak. We eat counter acorns because that's part of her responsibility, being busy for the rest of her life. And so then he came over to the redwood tree and he says, he said, watch it. He said, I was watching him. With checks. He said, I was watching. You were such a good person. You had such a big heart. He says, when I create the local Yurok people, he says, they're going to treat you just like a human being. And when they make their houses, they're going to say, oh, that human house. Or, oh, yacht, that human boat. They're going to treat you just like a human being. And all these things are going to put that heart in you because you had a big heart and you were so kind to other people. And, that's why redwoods are important to us Yurok people. And the reason I wanted to start off with this story is because that's kind of what we do at the Visitor Center. We get to tell our story. And that's the main point. We get to tell our story. All these other visitor centers around here, they always talk about Native people. They always talk about us in third person. And they also talk about us in past tense all the time. We're still here. We still have a story. So that's one of the things that the Cultural Center or the Visitor Center down there, the main thing is to tell our story, and actually it's more of an educational center, and we have a long story. We have so many stories of how things were and how the right way to live is, and that's part of it. Another part of it is also telling the other story. So what happened the last 150 years, 160 years, with all this historical trauma, with all this invasion and all the Indian Holocaust that happened in this area, to tell that story, because that actually helps promote healing and to get that out there and to bring up those issues and to educate people, because there's so many people don't know some of these things that happen, and the part of education, that's how you get that healing. I always tell people, it's like, this whole system, this whole Western society system that we have going on there, it's like, let's treat everyone fair. Let's treat everyone exactly the same. But that's not what we need. See, if you have people that are going up on this steep mountain and way up in a desert, and they're going up there and they have, it's really hot and it's strenuous mountain, then you have these people down here that already crossed that mountain, and they're all on the lush rainforest and tons of water everywhere. you don't give those people the same amount of water. You have to give these people a little bit more. And that's what you need to do. You need to give people what they need to heal. And, you know, that's what you guys are doing, and that's just awesome. And so kind of what we're doing down there is, you know, at the visitor center, where we have storytelling, we do cultural demonstrations. You know, it's brand new. We've only been open for 3 months, but, you know, next year we want to have big groups coming in where we teach the youth how to do dances, brush dances, canoe making, you know, and all that. We're not going to charge them. We just want people to come in and find out about us, learn about our history. And so that's the main thing that we're doing down there is educating people and telling our story. And so that's all I have to say, unless you guys have any questions for me. When you guys come down there, we're going to actually have 2 groups, 2 sessions. I'm going to welcome everyone, and then we're going to have a group that's going to go with me. You guys are going to split into 2 groups. One group's going to come with me. We're going to go to Demonstration Village. I'm going to tell you a few stories and do that point. And then we're actually going to have 2 other people. We're going to have Dale Webster. He's going to be there. He's going to bring a lot of his family baskets and a lot of his bows and arrows and different cultural items that he actually made himself. And then we're also going to have Sandra Lowry. She's going to bring a few women's dresses in and some baskets. And so we're going to have 2 sessions. And so one group will stay with them, one group will come with me, then we'll switch halfway. It's going to be probably about an hour and 15 minutes, somewhere around that time. So,
yeah, no, thank you, James. I'm really looking forward to that, and I think it'll really like help even contextualize some of, you know, what we're seeking to accomplish even more. And I just am very grateful for you to carve out the time to host us, to have us, and then maybe even joining us for the latter part of the day.
Yeah, hopefully you can.
Maybe. He's also a Yurok language teacher. He teaches at Eureka High and other places within the community. So James, like many of us, has multiple hats, and he's very much, you know, one of, you know, the kind of leaders and just, you know, part of our younger generation who, you know, are we rocking it, or are we rocking it? I don't know, I hope so. Yeah. So just 2 cents on that. This is fun for me in that, like, James and then Frankie and I and Molly and I, our next 2 speakers, we all kind of like grew up together. We're all of the same age. And at some point along the way, we became grown-ups. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick kind of stretch break and transition break, maybe about 10-ish minutes, and then we're going to move into our next